My name is Jason Bond. I'm a plant pathologist here at Southern Illinois University. And I'm here today to talk about soybean cyst nematode. And one of the things that we're working with ISA on is looking at the impact of cover crops on soybean cyst nematode. And one of the unique things about this project is we're not creating cover crop locations. We're going into established cover crop locations, some that are developed with ISA funding, others that are with other granting agencies. And so we're leveraging that investment that's already been made and going in and looking at the impact of the cover crop practices on not only soybean cyst nematode, but also the soil microbiome. Trial locations is pretty diverse and broad across Illinois. So we have 9 different locations where cover crops are established. Several of those are on the southwestern portion of the state. Several of those up more in central Illinois, and then we have one location in northern Illinois. One of the key benefits for this project is there is a lot of interest in cover crops, and there's been already a lot of information on the benefits of cover crops, but there's not a lot known about in terms of how varying mixtures that are planted, but then also the actual stand and the diversity in your cover crop that is in the spring, how that influences soybean cyst nematode. And so this is one of the aspects of this project, is to not only quantify what was planted, but also in the spring and also in the early planting season, to know what was actually established and density of those cover crops. And so the other benefits of this is, a lot of times with nematodes, we have an impact on them, but we may not see it until at the very end of the soybean production season. And so you might have a cover crop that really influences cyst nematode, and if you're only sampling when you start the cover crop studies and then when you plant your soybeans, you may not see an impact on the soil-borne pathogens. But as the soybean crop is planted, we've seen with other studies, that's when some of those benefits of some of those cover crops or other crop species that are planted before soybean really have an impact on soybean cyst nematode, and then thereby helping manage the pathogen in our production of soybean.
My name is Leo Rocha. I'm a postdoc researcher here at SIU Carbondale. So over the years, I had the chance to work on many research projects funded by ISA. So a couple of years ago, we worked in a project looking into the impact of wheat on soybean cyst nematode counts in double cropping soybean production. So in that study, we found that SCN counts were reduced by 30% when soybean was double cropped with winter wheat. So later on, using advanced next generation sequencing technologies, we're able to study the microbial communities of those same soil samples. So the data showed us that the wheat crop improves some beneficial microbes in the soil, and those beneficial microbes actually were responsible for the suppression of SCN in those studies. So now we're using what we learned from that wheat double cropping soybean study, and then we're looking into the impact of cover crops on soybean cyst nematode populations in field conditions. So the idea of that study is to look into how these different cover crop species and management practices affect soybean cyst nematode counts in the soil. And then we want to use those same advanced DNA sequencing technologies to look into the microbial profile of those soil samples. So that way we can look into the interactions between beneficial microorganisms, soybean, cover crops, and the soybean cyst nematode. So this project will provide farmers with some important information on management practices of SCN, especially for farmers that are doing growing cover crops or plan to grow cover crops in the future.